Holy smokes! How much time has it been? What year is this? Is The Rock president yet? Okay, sorry about that. I've been playing Pokemon Colosseum. Before we got a main series Pokemon game with 3D battles in Pokemon X and Y, 3D Pokemon had been a thing fans had feverishly been begging for. We got a snippet of that experience thanks to the Pokemon Stadium games, but these never truly felt like a legitimate Pokemon adventure, more as a proxy to play Pokemon battles on the big screen. We got that first taste of a home console Pokemon experience with the GameCube release of Pokemon Colosseum. I remember this being a big thing with my friends way back in the day, but I never got to take part because I never had a GameCube growing up. But now I've been able to finally play through the story mode, at least recently, so what did I think? There's a lot of time that I won't be getting back now. So Colosseum stars you as Wes in the Ore region. I declare him as Wes rather than, you, like I did with pretty much every other Pokemon game, because his character design is so flashy, and the opening cutscene displays more personality from our main Pokemon character than what I've ever seen before, that, yeah, Wes is his own person. Wes used to be part of the team's gang, Team Snag'em. In a fit of rebellion, though, he blows his way back into the base to steal the Snag'em Machine, a device capable of capturing Pokemon already owned by a trainer, alongside his Espeon and Umbreon, and makes his escape. Later, Wes runs into an attempted kidnapping and rescues the hostage, a young girl named Rui, someone who has the innate ability to identify shadow Pokemon, a phenomenon that's been spreading around the region as of late, thanks to another villainous group named Cypher. So now Wes and Rui must go around rescuing and purifying shadow Pokemon, all the while putting a stop to Cypher's dastardly schemes. So I mean, don't get me wrong, for a Pokemon adventure, it's technically not that bad, especially compared to some of the rest of the games. But I mean, there's no gyms to speak of, kind of. There are some, but they're not really integral to the story, much like Generation 7, really, although Generation 7 sort of had a substitute of sorts for it. But for this one really tries to cater itself more to character-driven stuff, I suppose, I guess. But even then, it doesn't do it very well. Firstly, I want to touch on Wes real quick. So, like I said, the dude to me solidified himself as his own character in my eyes thanks to the very first cutscene you see him in. That one scene alone exudes more charisma than any other playable character, barring maybe Sword and Shield's playable characters, but after that initial cutscene, Wes stops being unique. Wes becomes an absolute plank of wood in a fancy trench coat. I wouldn't have cared if they kept him silent, but expressing some emotion would have been nice. To that end, it's kind of a shame really. He put in all that effort for his character design just to have Wes not do a thing. Kind of feels like a waste. That's not to say I don't want my main characters to have good designs, but having it be like this, it just feels wrong. In a weird way, I guess Rui sort of acts like our words, similar to the partners in a Paper Mario game. But Rui has nothing interesting to add to most conversations other than bog standard, we gotta help sort of lines, and doesn't contribute much other than spotting shadow Pokemon just cuz, and also just absolutely loves to get in your way in tight corners. Rui, just move! In terms of the villainous team of the game, Team Snag'em, I barely remembered that they existed up until pretty much the very end of the game when they basically had to announce that that's who you were fighting. And in terms of Cypher, well, most of them are just kind of uninteresting, save for maybe the semi-head honcho, the guy basically looks exactly like the main bad guy from Mega Man Battle Network 2, or in terms of maybe Mirror B, I suppose, but I only remembered his name because I just recently played Gale of Darkness and his name popped up a bit, and everyone else remembers him because of his big afro. Anywho, with that said, I don't like criticizing older games on their graphics for obvious reasons, so the best I can do is art direction. The models for the Mons look alright, and as I said, Wes does have a good character design. The odd significant character looks fine too, but more often than not, they're very bland. As for the overworld, if it isn't some dollar store sci-fi western, then it's some dark, dank building. I don't know. The Ori region is just boring. Add to it is that it's not one actual interconnected region. It's all sections on a large map that you pick and you just zoom to on some jet unibike thingy. Gameplay is from Generation 3, so we do have at least abilities, but not special and physical attacks. There are no wild encounters in this due to the region's lack thereof Pokemon, so all fights are double battles against trainers. It could be interesting in later generations. The overall problem with the combat, though, is a mixture of things. Firstly, the levels are all over the place. It's hard to train since some of the Colosseums have trainers that are like 15 levels lower and give out such little experience, especially since Mons have to share the experience due to the doubles format. And yet, trying to progress in the story will hit you with constant level spikes of around 10 levels higher. That's a problem not because of a more difficult Pokemon, but a more squishy one. And since it's only Generation 3, no Pokemon has any sort of crazy move list to help cover their weaknesses or cover their teammates. So you want to keep up with the levels. The best method to have an up-to-date team at the easiest convenience is to catch them. No wild battles though, so how do we get them? Well, the large majority of trainers will usually have one shadow Pokemon to nab from the trainer. Lore-wise, kinda shitty. Most trainers can't even tell which Pokemon is a shadow Pokemon, so it just kinda looks like you're running around steal people's precious Pokemon. But yeah, you can catch those ones and add them to your team. The catch is, though, since they're shadow Pokemon, they don't have access to any other move other than a special attack called Shadow Rush. Basically, it's a stronger form of Struggle. To help give them more moves and eventually purify them, you have to just use them in battle. But it takes so long. You might get lucky and the Pokemon will go into a state called Hyper Mode. The Pokemon will ignore you for that turn, and then as well they can't use items on them, but its crit rate will increase by a whole bunch, or you can call for it, giving you a boost in recovering its Shadow Meter. But even then, it still takes a long time. And even after depleting the whole thing, you have to take them on back to a shrine near Rui's home to purify them. If you have a limited item, the Time Flute, you can summon Celebi to purify them instantly, but again, it's limited. Using the Shadow Pokemons in battle, they also don't gain experience, so if the Shadow Pokemon you picked starts to lose ground, you're kind of out of luck. They do gain the full experience bulk back when they get purified again, but if the level spikes happen, then that doesn't really matter. And the payout for winning battles is, it's a paltry. You can hardly stock up on items for dungeons, so in the event that your Pokemons are hurting from a fight you just had, you'll probably have hardly anything to heal with at that time, or you're trying to save them for bigger fights. Then that means you'll have to run all the way back out the way that you came just to get to a Pokemon Center to heal at, and then make your way back just to do one fight and repeat the process. It's actually exhausting. You can't even save anywhere unless at a PC, which is so backwards, especially considering you could always save wherever you wanted from before. And that's ultimately the biggest takeaway for this game. Despite the 20-ish hour runtime, just everything's been cranked to the slowest speed possible. You run at the speed of molasses, every character and the main team of this game are just completely uninteresting. The combat is super slow. Trying to follow the main mechanics, the main novelty for the game with the Shadow Pokemon, just feels like the biggest waste of time. And it was just so slow. And I will never want to go back to this game. So they did make a sequel though. Can they fix the mistakes, hopefully? But anywho, thank you all so much for watching. If you like what you saw, you can click right up there to check out some of my other videos that I've done. Or, if you really feel like it, you can click right up there to subscribe. And as a quick little side note, I do have a Twitter that I do have, and I'm going to leave a link to it down below. I don't post a whole lot of stuff, but maybe I'll try a little bit, and maybe we'll see some future announcements off of that. But until next time, guys, I will see you all later.